I'm delighted to say we are joined by talkSPORT's top man, Chief Football Correspondent Alex Crook joins us live in studio as the clock is ticking with January in mind and the transfer window, of course, set to close very early on at the start of next month. Alex, good afternoon to you. Antoine Semenyo, the scorer of that great Bournemouth goal last night. Is it goodbye and is he heading to Manchester City?
Good afternoon, Jim. Yeah, I have to say I was at the Vitality last night. You don't get many of these sort of fairy tale moments in football, but it was a fairy tale farewell for Antoine Semenyo, and time almost stood still inside the ground when the ball broke to him just outside the penalty area. Bournemouth in desperate need of a victory. No wins in 11 before last night. He picks out the bottom corner, and with that, he waves goodbye. He's in Manchester this morning, despite some suggestions elsewhere that maybe Liverpool could come in and hijack this deal. That was never really in the offing. And we've now got the financial details as well. We know there was a £60 million release clause when Semenyo signed a new contract at Bournemouth last summer. My understanding is that Manchester City are paying slightly above that, £62.5 million in instalments over the next 2 years. There's another 1.5 million in bonuses, so it's a 64 million deal all in. That is a club record sale for Bournemouth, eclipsing what Tottenham paid for Dominic Solanke. And I think from Bournemouth's perspective, they feel like it's good business getting Semenyo to sign a new contract last summer, getting him to play for them for another 6 months in the process. And even while these negotiations have been ongoing, he hasn't downed tools. He's kept plugging away, and that could be a really important victory last night. So a great deal for Bournemouth. Great move for Antoine Semenyo. And I think Manchester City need him because we've seen again last night, outside of Erling Haaland, they are struggling to score goals. Semenyo already in double figures. I think Pep Guardiola believes he's someone who can make a real contribution to Manchester City moving forward.
Wow, 64 million quid, Alex tells us. If you're Bill Foley at Bournemouth, Simon, what are you going to do with some of that?
Well, Bill Foley that told you that he could match anybody pound for pound and is now selling all their players because the reality of the football pyramid comes into play. Bigger clubs take your best players. Kirkis to Liverpool, someone else to Real Madrid, and this guy to Manchester City. It's a troubling time because ultimately, how does the manager keep on trying to turn wine into water or water into wine in this instance? I mean, look, it must be a wonderful position to be in a football club where you can buy all the best players in the Premier League and watch the visions arrive at 65 million quid. I mean, haven't they got an embarrassment of riches on that left-hand side?
They sure have, yeah. Tell us about Jørgen Strand Larsen at Wolves.
Well, this is a player who obviously was subject to strong interest from Newcastle in the summer. I still think it's one of the worst things that Wolves could have done, really, rejecting offers around £60 million. I think he will leave. I think he'll go for a bit less than that now. 40 million seems to be the asking price. And I've mentioned this to you before, Jim. Nottingham Forest, one to keep an eye on when it comes to Strand Larsen. Arno Calimuendo has just been allowed to leave Forest to join Frankfurt on loan with the option of a permanent deal at the end of the season. Chris Wood is injured, so they are short-handed at the top end of the pitch. And this just seems to me the perfect player to come in and play for Sean Dyche. And obviously Forest can offer European football in the second half of the season as well. Wolves have improved of late, no question about that. Another battling point for them, albeit against 9 men of Everton last night. But they are still going down. They're realistic about that. So they are open to selling not just Strand Larsen in this window, but probably João Gomez as well.
Strand Larsen, let me just check in with the man to my left, Mr. Simon Jørgen, who I think I heard chime in with the word useless.
Yeah, Emperor's New Clothes, mate. Pay £50 million for that rubbish. Good luck.
Why? Why are you not having him?
Because he's poor. I mean, I don't. I mean, he's a. I mean, look at him the other day. He couldn't even take a bleeding penalty when they needed him to step up and do it. I think he's a poor player. I think 50 million quid. I mean, Wolves, 60 million quid. Wolves sort of sent him around in a cab, gift wrapped.
Okay, thanks for that. What are you hearing at Manchester United this morning then, Alex? Darren Fletcher, of course, will carry on after the drawn match at Burnley last night. Where are you at with them?
Yes, I think that was expected. I think it was always the plan that he would get these 2 games, obviously dropping more points away from home last night. Manchester United, massive game, live and exclusive on talkSPORT against Brighton in the FA Cup on Sunday, and one they really need to win in terms of having any hope of silverware this season. So I'd expect Darren Fletcher to name his strongest possible side for that game. It is a 2-horse fight, I think, for the interim role until the end of the season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as we've mentioned over the last 48 hours, feels like he's the front runner. That does feel like the direction of travel, but don't totally rule out Michael Carrick. He's due to hold face-to-face talks with Jason Wilcox, the sporting director, and Omar Barada, the chief executive, over the next 48 hours, and then Manchester United will make a decision. I know there has been some talk that maybe it could be a shared role between the two. I don't see that outcome. I think if anything, maybe it could be Ollie as number one and Carrick as number two, but we will learn more in the next couple of days. What I would say, there are just a few rumblings that if this doesn't work out for Manchester United, if they don't finish in Europe with an interim in charge, then maybe there'll be a bit of spotlight turned on Jason Wilcox. I think a lot of Manchester United fans would say rightly so, because you look at the decision making over the last year or two and it's not been great.
Alex, thank you very much indeed. Thanks to Intuit QuickBooks. That was an update on the transfer dealings around the country. Search QuickBooks and you will find out more.